So our last unit this term is all about circles. So as always, we have to go through some of the basic vocabulary for circles. So a circle itself is defined as the set of all points equidistant from a given point, i.e. the center. And that's a lot of words, but what does that mean? So here's my center. A set of points, point, all the way around here, that are equidistant back. And from our schooling from years before, we know all of these little equidistant back are our radius, which are the segment with an endpoint at the center and on the circle. We also know, as a review, that segment that goes from the center to endpoint through the center is a diameter. And we know these are related and that a diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. All of that should feel very familiar and be review. So should this. The circumference is our distance around a circle. So if you can imagine taking off and walking around the circle, the distance you would walk would be your circumference. And the circumference is equal to pi times diameter, and the label is always units. It's basically the perimeter of a circle. Area is what is the space inside of our shape, and area is found by taking pi r squared, and the label is always units squared. The biggest thing here is remembering your order of operations, and only the radius gets squared, not the pi. This is not the same as this, so be very careful with your calculators. In fact, most of the time we are going to talk about exact answers. And what we mean there is to leave pi in your answer. So our circumference, for example, a circumference could be reported as 12 pi units. And that's a nice, neat way to give your answer, because as soon as you multiply by pi, you have to round, and then you've introduced rounding error into your problem. And that can have a pretty major impact on your final answers, depending on how many times you round. Area of a sector is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be some fractional portion of the circle. And so what we are going to do is we're going to talk about area of a sector, and it's going to be the measure of the angle divided by 360 times pi r squared. So what is this formula? This is the area of the whole circle. And this portion is the fraction, okay, the part that we're concerned about. And when we talk about the measure of the angle, we're talking about this angle right here. So if this were a 52-degree angle, then our fractional part would be 52 out of 360, because it's 360 degrees all the way around a circle. So let's practice with a couple of these ideas. So this first example is really kind of a segment chase. We've been doing angle chases, but this is applying a lot of different information. So first we mark our picture. R to S is 4. P to S is 16. And R to U is 22. Now it's really key to notice that this number and this number are the diameters. And if I know that those are the diameters, then I can come in and I know that T to U is 11 and R to T is 11. And if R to S is 4 and R to T is 11, that means that S to T is 7. And if I go over on the other side, that means my radius is 8. And if it's 8 from P to Q, it's 8 from Q to S, 4 from R to S, that means it's 4 from Q to R. If I want how big QT is right here, It's 4 units plus 4 units plus 7 units. So QT is 18 units. So we had to break it all down, knowing the diameter, find the radius, use a parts to whole idea from way back in Unit 1, and then add our segments back together to get the larger piece. If we're talking about circumference and area problems, this one's very straightforward. Given a diameter, what's the circumference? Remember, circumference is pi times diameter. So the exact answer here is 16 pi units. And it really is that simple. So to turn it up a notch and do something a little bit more difficult, if I give you the circumference and ask for a diameter or radius, all you have to do with any formula is always think about plug in what you know, solve for what you don't. So my formula is circumference is equal to pi d. I know circumference, so by substitution, 24 pi is equal to pi d. Divide by pi, because my diameter is my unknown. Pi divided by pi cancels. My diameter is 24, so my radius is 12 units. And so that makes pretty easy work of those kinds of problems. This is where we're going to stop this video and tune into the next video for the rest of the problems.